Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Gladys with 4 Bikes. Today we have one of our own. Maybe he can introduce himself.
Meshach Samson Minor.
Meshach, how have you been?
I'm good.
Okay.
Doing well.
Okay. Now, how long have you been riding this bike?
This specific unit, I have it for 3 weeks now. This is the third week. I was riding the Tekken 200. I had the 250, the 525 VOGE DS. So I've practically tested almost all the bikes available at Nairobi Power Bikes. But for this specific unit, I've been riding it for 2 weeks and some like 2 days. It has done 1,200 kilometers now. We just did the first service this week after the break-in period, 1,000 kilometers. So yes, I have done quite some trips. You look at this bike, looks dirty and stuff. Yeah, been out there.
Okay, and where is the farthest that you've gone with the VOGE Rally 300cc?
I've been to Nyeri twice. Yeah, Nyeri twice. I've been to Suswa, almost in Narok. I've gone to Naivasha. I've been through Kiambu County, a lot of places from Limuru, Mahio. Yeah, I've done quite some distance, but I wasn't riding it for long. For the first 1,000 kilometers, you have to be careful with the bike. It's called the break-in period. After that, you do the first service, oil change. Then this is the time now we are starting to plan serious trips with this one. Yeah.
Okay, and how is the handling of this bike when you're on highway, when you're in the rough roads?
Yeah. This is technically an off-road bike. Much of the design is meant for off-road, but that doesn't mean you cannot ride on the highway. On the highway, the bike is very comfortable, but not as fast as the 300 DS. This is not a highway speed bike. This is an off-road bike. So on the highway, you will not experience that thrill of speed. But when you get to off-road, this thing is a beast. That's the beast I can say. It's a beast. When you go off-road, it's a very serious bike. The power comes out, all of it, when you're on off-roads. Again, it has very smooth EFI system. You can climb very steep hills with very little throttle. That's why I said, design-wise, this bike is an off-road bike. Very comfortable. Bumps, rough roads, potholes, there is nothing to surprise you. The suspension, everything is perfect.
Yeah. Now, tell us the acceleration and the braking of this bike when you're on off-road and also on-road.
Acceleration on the highway is quite high, higher than the DS, because the sprocket that we have here is so big. Look at the rear sprocket, so big. It has a lot of torque. The acceleration is so high, but when you accelerate, the speed accumulation is not so much. The gear shifting is so short. From here to there, you need to change gears because of that sprocket, because it is meant for off-road. For off-road acceleration, something different. If you are not careful, you can somersault with this bike. It has a lot of power, by the way. It is not a bike that a beginner will come and play around with. This one is not for playing around with beginners. For braking on the highway, it's a good bike. It has ABS. You don't even realize the moment you press the brake so hard. The ABS is doing its work. And it has a switch for switching off ABS, because you are not supposed to ride off-road fast with ABS on. ABS is not an appliance for off-road. It can be very dangerous if you don't know how to use it. So it has a switch. When you want to go fast off-road, you switch the ABS off. A lot of bikes don't have this, but this one has the on and off switch for the ABS. So for me, I do not think there is anything better I'm looking for in a bike. This one has everything. Maybe, I don't know. It has what I want.
Now, tell us about the comfortability of this bike, especially on the seats.
The seat is fine. And for the few bikes I have tested so far, this one feels like the seat is better than, what do I say? A lot of bikes come with very hard seats when it is new. But when you continue using it, the seat starts getting softer. But this one came straight away, looking good. So you can, like from here, from Nairobi to Nyeri, it's around 150 kilometers. You can ride one way without stopping anywhere. You won't feel any hitting.
How about the riding position, especially when you're going for a long distance?
This one is perfect. Perfect. So what do I say? So for my height, almost 6 feet, I have no problem with this. Actually, it's a very neutral position. My hands are not straight, not cramped. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay,
This is an adventure bike, mostly for off-road, but for the highway, the handlebars are perfect. For my height, I don't even need to raise the bars or anything. I don't need it. For my height, that is. Yeah. Anybody shorter than me, maybe they would have a problem. But for that height.
Now, Meshach, you've tested the taken 200cc and 250cc. Have you gone outside the country?
With these bikes, no. The last time I was in Tanzania, I was on my personal bike. I was on the Honda. But for the bikes within Nairobi Power Bikes list, no, I haven't. But I have a plan. I have a plan of visiting Tanzania again. But that one is not yet completed. But I have a plan.
Using which bike?
I was thinking of the DS300.
DS300cc.
Yeah.
Viewers, kindly, let's wait.
The DS300, I wanted to see what you can do. I know from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam, it's quite a distance. Mwanza, yeah. I'll see what to do. But before the end of the year, I want to see.
Approximately when?
Maybe in the month of November, somewhere around there. And even if I don't take the DS, I'll take the Tekken 250.
And
take the Tekken.
And have you experienced the discomfort using the VOGE 300cc rally?
Not yet. I don't know. Okay, comfort and discomfort are relative. It is defined by person to person. Maybe what I feel like it is comfortable, someone else will say it is uncomfortable. But for me, with my 12 years of riding motorcycles, over 200,000 kilometers of mileage covered by myself on bikes, I don't feel anything uncomfortable about this bike. The bike is tall, works to my advantage. The bike is quite slim, works to my advantage when I go off-road. Because when I go off-road, I'm a fast rider. I'm a fast rider off-road. I can do 100 kilometers an hour off-road. Very comfortable.
Do you think a short person would be comfortable with a bike, especially when they're riding for a long distance?
They would. Long distance is not a problem. Problem is actually when you're beating traffic. So for long distance, I don't see anything to challenge you. The moment the bike is moving, you're not handling the bike all the weight with your hands. You have no business struggling with the weight or the height when you're riding. The only challenge would be if someone is like your height, beating traffic in Nairobi with this one is going to be a challenge. That one I can tell you for sure. It's going to be problematic. No. Mlima, you don't stop katikati. For what?
Traffic?
Traffic is the only place I know it can challenge you. Again, if you go off-road, be very sure where you're stopping. Because you can park the bike somewhere and fail to start it again. Yeah. But as long as you have good experience in handling bikes, I don't see any problem.
Now, how useful are these features of this bike? Like the bike is water cooled.
Yes.
The shocks, the height of the bike.
They work to the advantage of people who go off-road. Radiator is very important for off-road bikes. Modern off-road bikes, radiator is very important. Because sometimes in off-road, you ride very, very slowly. Sometimes you are crossing rivers. We cross rivers. You cannot cross rivers at 50 kilometers an hour. You need to go slow. When you're riding slowly, temperatures tend to rise up. So when the bike has a radiator, that works to your advantage. Again, on the highway, radiators work so well, keeping the temperatures at same place. The wind is doing its work, the radiator is doing its work. they maintain temperature at the same place. Beating traffic in Nairobi, sometimes you have to stop and wait for traffic lights. You can switch off the bike or decide not to switch it off. The radiator is going to work. The shocks are for off-road. You can jump over anything. For me, I don't throw for bumps on the highway. I don't recommend people to do that, but for me, I know what I'm doing. I don't throw so much for bumps. I can do bump at gear 5, 90 kilometers an hour. I'll hit the bump and continue. With
Okay.
these chokes, you're good. For guards, definitely if you drop the bike, you don't want to lose levers or maybe your hands are hit by something. The engine is very expensive to repair. These plastics are also not very cheap. That's why we need these guards. So for this bike, everything works together for people who go for long distance and off-road.
Wow, beautiful. And now, are there features that you wish that this bike had?
Yeah, there are some few things I would have wished they were, like the fuel gauge. This bike doesn't have a fuel gauge. The dashboard is so small, only shows you the trip, the speed, the RPMs. What else? Nothing else. So you have some few lights here, low fuel light, ABS light, but we don't have the fuel gauge to tell you how much fuel you have, and we don't have a clock. We don't know what time it is. But that is a general problem with off-road bikes. Pretty much like all of them. They don't come with those things, especially the ones that are labeled rally, because they are supposed to be like sport bikes for off-road, desert motorcycles. They don't give you those things. Yeah, but anything else, I'm good.
Tell us your experience when it comes to maintenance and servicing of the bikes that you've used.
So far, so good because we have the parts. Thank God the dealership has the parts. Service, the first 1,000 kilometers, you only need to change 1.5 liters of oil. The oil filter is a very small thing. They are there. The plug is only one for this bike, only one spark plug. You don't need to change the spark plug for the first 1,000 kilometers. Maybe after 5,000. Brake pads, you don't need to change them till they are worn out. They are there in the dealership. I don't see anything that should challenge you. Maybe if you break something serious, like the engine fails because of not maintaining it, that is when you could have problems. But again, the dealership has the parts. For people with Tekken, I have seen them change serious things. So I don't think there is any problem, apart from someone buying the bike from the dealership and refusing to go back to the dealership for service. Refusing to go back for dealership to buy like genuine spare parts. So if you depend on the other garages to source some parts for you, definitely there's going to be a serious problem. But if you buy your bike from Nairobi Power Bikes, you bring it back for service, for parts, I don't see any reason why you should have problems. I don't see any reason why. Because we have parts, we have a service center, we have mechanics, technicians who are, I don't see where the problem should come from.
Now, before you started riding our bikes, which bike were you using before?
Okay.
And the CC?
I've worked with Nairobi Power Bikes for the better part of this year. This is 2024. I started riding bikes in 2012. I have done from 150 cc's to 200. Personally, I have owned 5 bikes. From Kibo to Honda to Benelli to Hero, I have owned 5 bikes. But in those 12 years, I have tested like 20 brands. I don't think there is a brand in Kenya that I have not tested. Mostly because of my YouTube, that is. I have tested a lot of bikes. But there is something I love about adventure bikes. These ones for off-road and the other giant ADVs, there is something that makes me love them. Yeah. I have tested, the biggest bike I have tried is an 1190 KTM. So my experience is up to KTM 1190 Adventure.
Okay. Now, have you encountered any mechanical issues with our bikes?
No, not really. I was riding the Tekken 200 And within 2.5 weeks, I did 3,000 kilometers. Nothing wrong. I have not seen. So far, I haven't seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
Yeah. Now considering the Taken, the 250cc, 200cc, and also the Rally, where is the farthest that you've gone with our bikes?
Oh, so I have done Nairobi to Diani and back.
With which bike?
Taken 200.
Nice.
1,300 kilometers in 2 days. That was long. I have done Nairobi to Maridi with VOGE 525. I have done Nairobi to Tanzania border with Taken 250 through Migori, Isibania. Yeah, I have done a lot of mileage in a single day. Most of like 620, the farthest in 1 day, 620, 1 day.
Okay, and has it been difficult to get the spare parts and the accessory from the Nairobi power bikes?
No, I just said that I haven't seen anything with okay, there are some things like maybe someone would want to include like phone holders, maybe aftermarket accessories. Definitely those ones you might not find them in a dealership because they are not part of this bike from the factory. Those ones you can get them from other shops. But for the parts that are meant for this bike, I don't see any problem that you should encounter as long as you visit the dealership. Why should you not get the parts? And even if you don't find it that day, maybe they run out of stock. There is a shipment coming, so you might wait 3 weeks. You'll have your parts. Yeah, definitely. Even the vehicles, dealerships, that's the way they operate. It's not a must you get the same thing you wanted the same day.
Okay, now Meshach, generally, how is the fuel consumption and the top speed of this bike, the Rally 300cc?
I have not tested the top speed because it is still new. I always say that even in my videos on Two Wheels Paradise, I always try to discourage people from testing top speed when the bikes are new. At least give it time to clock at least 2,000 kilometers. The first and the second service should be done. Then after that, you can test the speed. The engine will be mature enough to withstand higher RPMs. But I have done 115 on this one, I think 115, relatively 115. Very comfortable speed without pushing the bike. I don't know how much it can do, this one. I will know after 2,000 kilometers. Fuel consumption wise, the bike is consuming 30 kilometers per liter. That one is confirmed. That one is confirmed because when I picked this bike from the showroom here, I filled it up with fuel at Luby's Langata Road. I know it takes 11 liters. The bike was only like 2 kilometers from here to the petrol station. The next time I filled it up, I calculated the distance I have done and the liters I have used. It was coming to that. That one is tested and confirmed. You can go to 30 kilometers with 1 liter. Yeah. It's actually consuming almost like Taken 200.
So what
Almost
you're trying
like
to say
Taken
that
200.
so what you're trying to say is that this bike it is not expensive when it comes to fuel.
No, it is not. It has an 11-liter tank. This tank is so small, 11 liters. It should tell you something. The smaller the tank should tell you something.
Okay, the smaller the tank, tell the viewers.
The smaller the tank, the rest is going to be consumption.
Ah, nice.
They know what they are doing when they are putting an 11-liter tank here.
So they should not get worried.
No.
No, some of them will ask me, the fuel tank is too small. How will I be going?
Yes, it is small because it is 11 liters. But this bike is giving you 30 kilometers per liter. So 330 kilometers before it goes off. In Kenya, there is no direction you can take with 300 kilometers without a petrol station. Maybe deep in northeastern going to Ethiopia border, maybe. But anywhere else, going to coast, Nyanza, Central, Rift Valley, there is nowhere you can go above 100 kilometers without a petrol station. The farthest I have seen is around Isiolo, 100 and something. Mtito a day to Voi, that's another 100 kilometers. That's the farthest I have seen without petrol station. The rest of the country, mafuta iko. You can fuel it up after 300 kilometers.
Oh, nice. And have you put the tracker on this bike?
Not yet. haven't used any trackers. This bike doesn't have any added accessory. From the way I picked it from the showroom, doesn't have any added accessory.
In short,
I
this
never,
is a kienyeji bike.
yes, I never wanted to add anything because we are just using the bike for a while and then we are going to return it and sell it. Remember we sold the Tekken after the 3,000 kilometers mileage? Even this one is finding its way into another home. So after 2,000 something kilometers, I will return it and get a customer for it. Someone else will have to enjoy what I've been enjoying. And then I pick another one and then we see what to do.
Now, Meshach, tell us, what is your favorite aspect of this bike?
The suspension and the stability and fuel consumption. And the brakes. Yeah, the brakes. Has very good brakes. Very, very good brakes. You don't have to panic about anything. Very good brakes. So the brakes, the fuel consumption, the suspension, and also the stability. Kenya has some places with very strong wind. I have not experienced a lot of problems with this one. Yeah.
Now, if you had a chance, would you modify the bike?
Yes, I would. There are some things I wish I was getting them from the factory the way it came. There are some things I would add, like the top box. A small box here, definitely for my cameras. I would get that one. I would also modify this pannier rack and get something to hold some side bags. For long distance traveling, you carry some few stuff. Tank bag, I would add a tank bag here and phone holder for my GPS navigation and stuff like that. Anything else, I don't know. I feel like the bike is comfortable the way it is. Oh, and the auxiliary lights.
Why?
I realized that this bike is not so focused on light, and it is because they have made it for off-road. When you're on the highway, the light doesn't really point to the ground, it points somehow straight ahead. So if there is nothing in front of you to reflect back, so a lot of light gets lost. A lot of light gets lost. So I would get auxiliary lights, extra lights. But now, I would not blame the bike for that. I would partly blame myself because I also use specs. My eyes are not so clear, so I might say it's not so focused, but someone else is so comfortable. So that one is a personal issue. I have specs because my eyes are not as good as everybody else. So that might be a personal problem, but I would add light.
Now, what category of customers would you recommend for the Rally 300cc?
People who are upgrading from small bikes, not really a beginner from fresh. Because a beginner from fresh will not enjoy so much of what the bike is offering. The bike is offering a lot, especially when you go off-road. The bike is offering a lot. But the beginners are so afraid of riding off-road, so they will not even enjoy it. So this one would be from someone who has had a smaller cc dual sport, those small off-road bikes, or someone who is shifting from a bigger bike of another category, maybe a sport bike, a cruiser, someone who wants to go off-road. Now there is a bike for you. Someone who understands how bikes are supposed to operate. They are going to have a lot of fun with this one.
Okay, now do you have one memorable ride or a beautiful experience with this bike? Maybe you can narrate it to the customers.
I'm trying to create that one. Okay, the rides I have had have been fun. There is one I went to the escarpments of my Mahio. See, when you're traveling from Limuru going to Narok, the road is somewhere up there and you can see some kilometers of...
I know.
Yeah, I went up to whatever you see down there with this one. And yeah, it is fun riding for a whole 1 hour without seeing anybody. A whole 1 hour. The ride I went to Nyeri and came back at night on Saturday last week. The roads were almost empty at night. So you can ride however you want. Having an off-road bike at night on the highway, something else. I love it. Honestly, I love it. You're not even afraid there might be a pump that you did not see or anything. If it is there, it is there. You just hit it and continue riding. That is what makes this bike actually more comfortable for me mentally. If anything pops up, we are good to go. It's not like the sport bikes. You'll have to be afraid. I don't know. For this one, whatever it is, just hit it. That's why I love off-road bikes.
Now, and what is your greatest fear since you started riding?
The greatest fear is not being able to ride. I don't have any fear about bikes. Not being able to ride. If anything goes wrong, that will stop me from riding. This bike is good to take anywhere. So if I don't ride it for a day, that is a day wasted. So honestly, that's how my life is, because I'm a rider full time.
Okay, now what would you tell a customer there who really loves the bikes but they really fear?
Everything in this life is dangerous. Everything in this life is dangerous. Even driving, eating, you can choke yourself to death. You can drink water and then it is intoxicated. It can kill you. Everything in this life is dangerous. It only determines how you use it. For me, I've been on bike for 12 years. I've never been admitted in hospital. I don't have any injury on my body from a motorcycle.
And have you ever had an accident?
Yes, I have been dropped by drivers, rude drivers. Someone pushes you off the road and you drop the bike. But I've never had any injury because of motorcycles for 12 years. So, if you fear bikes, I fear swimming. You fear bikes, I fear swimming. I don't know how to swim.
Now,
That's why I'm on the highway. But when it comes to swimming, I don't like
it is
it.
a swimming pool.
Yeah. Everybody has their own fears. I don't know how to swim. I fear swimming. So
What happened to the swimming? A story for another
I
day.
have never tested, so I fear it. I don't.
Now, what would you tell the riders, especially those people who have never even trained, but they are
Someone
really
should not pick a
determined?
bike like this is not a toy. I have a group of beginners. I have a WhatsApp group I started where I train beginners on how to be safe on the road. It has 230 members.
Really?
All of them beginners. Yes, there is a beginner group, and it has a lot of your customers. They are there. I train them every day on one thing every day. And I always tell people, this is not a toy. This is not a vehicle. If you drive a vehicle drunk, you can hit an electric pole or hit a wall, the vehicle will go off, you can sleep in there, wake up in the morning only to realize you hit something, the vehicle went off. But if you hit anything with a bike, you're not waking up. Yes, you might spend a night in the fridge somewhere, which is not very favorable. So this is not a toy, that's what I tell people. Do not buy a motorcycle if you don't know how to ride it. Something else, make sure you have the right licenses. Go to class, learn how to ride a bike. Go to NTSA and do your exams. Get licensed legally how to ride bikes. Get yourself insurance for the bike and for yourself.
How about
Buy
the
the right
riding gears?
protective gear. Buy the right ones.
True.
I don't expect you to buy this VOGE RALLY and I find you with a full leather suit for racing, the racing suit. I don't expect you to do that. Because it is not going to be safe for you. It is meant for someone who is tucked into the bike for speed. When you get off the bike, you remove the suit. But this one, you want to ride from here to Malindi, 600 kilometers, with something that you cannot even lift your hands. It's not safe. It can be very expensive, but it is not safe for you. Because if anything happens and you want to grab something very fast, this suit is preventing you from doing that. So buy the right gear, the right size, get the right training, get the right license, get the right insurance. Ride the bike properly. This is not a vehicle. You don't calculate you are riding like someone driving a vehicle. So the only way you can be safe is to understand this is not a toy and it is not a vehicle.
No, Meshach, we have different types of payment when it comes to purchasing our bikes.
Ah, okay.
So are you aware of them?
I have heard about them, but now I believe you are the right person to explain that one.
Yeah.
Because you are the one who is inside.
Yes, we have the lipa pole pole ukimaliza ukujie bike. That one is a reducing balance method whereby you come with any amount.
Someone can come with money and start depositing,
Yeah,
like a savings account with the dealership.
true.
By the time you finish your payment, you pick the bike. Okay.
Until next time, Gladys was your host. Kindly subscribe and also share. You can also comment. Thank you so much, Meshach. Where are you going now?
I want to go back to Kiambu. I have some assignments in Kiambu.
Okay.
But before the day ends, I might add some 200 kilometers. It's
Beautiful.
almost evening.
So
but I
let's
have a lot
not,
of stuff.
without wasting time, let's release him. So we are going to cover the other bikes next time. So
I'm always around.
yeah, nice.
Always around.